Yeah, see, they've got like springitis, summeritis.
No, go ahead. You're talking about this kind of thing.
Absolutely. Teachers or 20 staff? We're booked at 5 o'clock, right? On Saturday and on Sunday?
Check to see how it's going upstairs. You can get started.
Okay, thank
Very
you.
good idea.
Yeah, let me see. That's how they're done.
Oh. It's rolling.
They were on signature 3 of 4, so we're signing. Oh, it's the same.
Pretty good.
Yep, so we could say that, yeah, we'll just say it's not administration, it's not, you guys are home now.
Well, this is where she works here, so she can do the minutes.
I would still think that, as opposed to not voting on it. His friends will know, they won't see him in school. So.
Okay. It's now 6:50 p.m. We are out of closed executive session. At this time, we will reconvene the regular meeting of the Board of Education with a pledge to the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Bucher. Mr. Herrera. Mrs. Hope. Ms. Mabel. Mrs. Reed-Mimek.
Here.
Mrs. Whitcomb. Mr. Zickert.
Here.
This month, there are no student council comments. Regarding approval of the agenda, item number 7, paper bids under roll call action items has been pulled by administration. And item number 1 under roll call action items, expulsion of student 51622-A has been pulled by administration. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda of the regular meeting of the Board of Education on May 16th, 2022, as amended with item number 7, paper bids under roll call action being pulled, item number 1, paper bids, item number 1, expulsion of student 51622-A being pulled by administration. And I would also include to that motion items number 9 through 15 under roll call action items, starting with compensation for 9-month administrators, number 10, compensation for 10-month administrators, 11, compensation for 11-month administrators, compensation for 12-month principal administrators, number 13, compensation for 12-month administrators, number 14, compensation for 12-month IMRF administrators, and number 15, compensation for 12-month IMRF directors All of those 9 through 15 being moved to our second open session following our second closed executive session of the evening.
So moved.
Second.
Member Wickham made the motion and Member Herrera seconded the motion to approve the agenda of the regular meeting of the Board of Education, May 16th, 2022, as amended. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Whitcomb. Aye. Mr. Herrera.
Aye.
Mr. Zickert.
Aye.
Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mrs. Hope. Mrs. Reed Nemick.
Aye. As I said before, there are no reports from either Belvedere North High School nor Belvedere High School student councils. At this time, members of the public and employees of District 100 who submitted comments via email will be read, and those attending in person may make public comments.
No emails.
No emails were received. As a reminder, this is a professional business meeting, and as such, all attendees from board members to speakers to public attendees are reminded to conduct themselves professionally and refrain from the use of profanity, unprofessional language, and/or verbal or personally directed attacks. Verbal comments from the public are restricted to those being delivered during an individual's public comment as indicated on the board agenda. Unsolicited verbal comments, outbursts, and profanity and physical disruptions directed at members of the Board of Education, the superintendent, administrators, and/or audience members is not allowed and will not be tolerated. If an individual is identified as a continued disruption during the board meeting, the individual or individuals may be asked to leave the meeting. If necessary, the president or superintendent may request the assistance of law enforcement to escort the individual or individuals from the building. Per Board Policy 2230, the board must allow a minimum of 30 minutes of public comment and a 20-minute minimum total length of time for any one subject. If we reach 30 minutes on any given topic this evening, I may request an end to the public comments. In order to give the maximum number of people an opportunity to speak, please limit your comments to 3 minutes, and all comments that are provided will be included in the board packet if they were emailed. Again, if time allows, we will read any emailed comments, which we actually do not have this evening. The first individual that has signed up to speak this evening is Steve Castle. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah, you did great.
Okay.
You're one of the first. First of all, I want to preface this by saying, obviously, I don't know any of you. You probably don't know any of me. And so all of my comments are going to be from a generic position. I am a pastor, a husband, and a father. So that's the context in which I'm come here. And barely less than a year ago, our nation was shocked to learn that a mentally ill, gender-confused boy in Loudoun County, Virginia, raped and molested multiple young ladies in the restrooms of multiple public schools under the oversight and the direction of the school board and the school district leaders. Obviously, the outrage reverberated across the nation, inflaming parents with white, hot, righteous passion. To date, multiple people in that particular context have been processed and are being prosecuted for their sick and twisted choices in leadership. May they find Jesus in their prison cell, I say to them. Now, here we are in Belvedere, trying to figure out what part of stop abusing our children these multiple school leaders don't understand. Maybe that's not you. I truly, truly hope that it's not anybody in this room. After 6,000 years of recorded human history, we've advanced into the only society capable of the level of ignorance that it takes to deny simple biology. If you believe that gender and biological sex are fluid, you're free to have that enormously foolish opinion. But you are not qualified to make decisions in an educational system. Because that person would lack the character, the common sense, or the morality to defend the simple truth that leadership is required, they do not also have the ability to force their opinions onto any other parent's healthy children. If you, like the overwhelming majority of the people in this room, which we were all chatting, well, you guys were chatting, believe that biological sex is not fluid and the people who are espousing this ignorant viewpoint are just wrong, then you are actually considered a normal, rational person. But if you, as a rational person, also lack the courage and the character to actually stand against the societal bullies of wokeness and the threats of law leaders, then you are also disqualified and incapable of being part of our children's educational system. You do not have any right to pass on any fragility, weakness, ignorance, or hypocrisy to an entire generation of kids that you get to oversee. So it seems to me that the choices are clear and simple. There's only two. The first choice is stand up for what is right, what is congruent with the entire culmination of scientific reality, and what is required from elected leaders in your positions to protect children and the degradation of society, from the degradation of society, and make a right call today by defending the weak and the innocent, especially our daughters. The second choice, resign in shame because you lack the courage and the moral fortitude to which leaders are required to possess in order to do the right thing and stand up to bullies that are threatening either your school district or our children. If you choose to do the right thing, defend science, defend our children, be unique and courageous in a society circling the toilet drain,
Mr.
then I can
Castle,
assure you that this room filled with good parents will stand with you and support your decision. If you choose to cower and bow down to the tyrants and their threats,
Mr. Castle, you've reached 3 minutes. If you'd like to finish your sentence, please.
okay, I have 2 sentences. Is that cool?
Okay,
Thanks. If you choose to cower and bow down to the tyrants and their threats, then by default, you're also choosing to turn this room full of loving parents into your enemies. You'd be choosing to set yourself at odds against good parents and choose to become their enemies. Or, I assume that you will continue to have this fight with them for a long time to go. Or you can choose to be on their side and they choose to be on your side and support you no matter what bullies or bugs come at you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for letting me have a little extra. And again, if none of that went after any of you, I'm super honored. So I don't know any of you. I didn't want anything to be personal. Thank you very much.
thank you, Mr. Castle. Next, we have Mr. Daniel Bezinski.
Evening. I have 5 grandchildren in the school district. Right is right and wrong is wrong. One person is responsible for removing God from our public schools. Madeline Marie O'Hare. Anybody with eyes can see the result of that decision. We determined that between 230 to 250 million people practice some form of Christianity in this nation. There are 542 elected federal officials in the United States, and we the people are being dictated to about what is right and what is wrong by them. Nearly 6,000 men and women serve on local school boards in Illinois, governing nearly 2 million students across 850 school districts. They are elected by local communities to protect and educate our children. The board that sits before us today has made a decision to allow this travesty to take place in the name of political correctness. No vote, no making parents aware. This has been kept from the public view. I find it very interesting we don't hear about trans females wanting to enter male locker rooms, or we never hear about trans women entering men's sports. This school board has gone along with this out of fear of offending a few, or by what our federal government dictates what is acceptable. I am not a racist or a hate monger. I am a Christian. I believe Jesus died for our sins, and that God raised him from the dead for our justification, and that he is seated at the right hand of God Almighty. I could quote many other Bible verses to make the point that this is wrong. I feel for this young person, and I pray for them, as I have been praying for this board. But at what point do we as a society have to participate in this young person's choices. I understand that this young person is confused, or maybe not, only they can say. I will ask if anyone has offered any kind of counseling to this young person. Has anyone asked the young women that have been subjected to this about their thoughts or feelings? I highly doubt it. I am convinced this is only the beginning of what is about to take place in our public schools. If this young person has a penis, they are a male. This should not even have to be debated, and therefore not allowed to change or shower with young women in our public schools, no matter what our government says. I also have been made aware that our local government, that they have no say in this matter, and that this is strictly at the board's discretion. As I write this, it is my understanding that this indeed is taking place. I never really would have thought that this would come to our door, but now that it has, we have a chance to make the right choice. If this is allowed to continue, maybe not here, but somewhere, some young woman is going to be affected by these decisions. It will come in the form of a sexual assault or rape or worse. And I, for one, want to be the person who stood against this and not a willing participant. I did not intend this to be a sermon, but under the current federal administration, evilness is running rampant. For the board members that profess to be Christian, I am sure you are able to see this.
Mr. Bezinski, could you please finish? You've reached your 3 minutes.
For those that are not or want to believe God's word will change to fit what our culture or government says is acceptable, you will someday stand before God and give an account for your decisions, especially ones where our children are concerned. And to be honest, my hope is not in any of them, but in Almighty God to change the hearts of those that would be willing to put our young women at risk, to satisfy the thoughts of a fringe minority hell-bent on dragging our society to hell. I'd like to end with a quote from Billy Graham. The Bible teaches when we turn our backs on God and choose to disregard his moral laws, there are inevitable consequences. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Bezinski. Next, Mr. Brian Phillips.
This is here with all you tonight. I'm a local pastor, a local police and sheriff department chaplain. And I was in this room 6 years ago when Dr. Weissman invited the local pastors, and I had the same question then of how we were going to deal with this issue. And now we're dealing with it. I have 4 daughters that are in the school district, and because of things like CRT and LGBTQ curriculum, I'm contemplating, haven't decided yet, whether to pull them out of school next year. And I've never been really one who was, for my family, to go down the homeschool path. I believe in it, but I like my children, especially as Christians, to be in the public campus. So I'm here tonight because obviously I echo everyone else's concern, and I totally disagree with it. I disagree with it at a core human level. I disagree with it. The simplicity of biology and chromosomes is very simple to understand on the one hand, but because of massive propaganda and massive media pushing this and flooding this across social media outlets, and the audacity of bringing sexual confusion to children by allowing them to choose genders. I mean, all of this plays into what you have to stand up against the tidal wave of all this stuff. So you're the one group of people that I have respect for, and honestly, you're going to see me a lot more. I'm going to be at all these meetings in the future, and we're going to fill the room, and we're going to be here to help you and or replace you, and if need be, because that's what we can do. But my main question is this: why is this happening? Why are you okay with it? And what can we do about it? Are we going to the wrong group of people? Did somebody else make this decision? That's what I want to know. That's my question. How do we stop this? Because I have 4 daughters, and they will not be subject to this. They will not be afraid to go into the locker room. I was a jock in high school, and if you could have told me I'd wake up one day as a 16, 17-year-old kid and say, as a girl, sign me up. I'm in the locker room in a heartbeat. And I think I speak for most males. It's testosterone. But why are we allowing this to happen? Is my question 6 years ago was, what vetting process or what process do we have in place so that a kid like me couldn't wake up and just say he was doing it for the sake of, lust? What are we actually putting, what is in place that helps vet a person if they're really having problems? And that's a deep concern of mine as a father of four and as a taxpayer. Like I said, I'm a chaplain and I'm a pastor, so thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Next, we have Deborah Miller.
I didn't write a speech for this, but I just echo the same that why this is happening. I have grandchildren in this school district. It doesn't seem fair to me that their rights are not being considered. Why should they have to go somewhere else to change? I just don't understand. Short and sweet, I just echo everything that they said, and I just want to know why. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Next, Chrissy Dawson.
All right. So I have 4 kids in the school district, and I went in, I actually spoke to probably some of you. I was very concerned. I went to the school, no one answered their phone. So I went in to find out what was happening. And come to find out, this was happening. A boy, identifying as a girl with male parts allowed into the locker room where my daughter changes. I am totally about protection for this child, and I don't think that he should have to go into the boys, but why don't we have a space for him? Why do these girls have to undress in front of a male? Think about your daughters. Would you ever be okay with them undressing in front of someone with male parts? I love my kids dearly, and I can't imagine being in that position. This child needs to be protected, but so do our kids. This is just way too much. I don't know why parents weren't notified. Many parents don't know. I spoke to a few, and they called the school and was told that this isn't happening. So why can't we tell parents what's happening in our schools? Some of the things being taught, we don't even know, and it's downright wrong. So I tell my kids, we're not going to judge other people. They're free to be their own people, but when it's going to affect my kids, it's wrong. I have a young, developing daughter, already insecure about changing. Now she's changing in front of someone with male parts, and that's not okay. That's not a good lesson for our girls. It's not a good lesson for our boys, teaching them, we're trying to teach them to respect women. We don't want them to think that this is okay. So I really want parents to be aware of this. If something's not going to be done, parents need to know. My girls are going to the nurse's office to change. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's fair. The school told me that this was statewide, a mandate. Not true. I called other districts. They said they're not allowing this. So why are we allowing it? Has this been heard by everyone? Is this an opinion? I just ask you to think about your own children being in this situation, as well as this transgender child. We need to think about the safety from all ends. This is a dangerous situation. We're teaching our kids some really bad things. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dawson. Does anyone else have any comments they would like to share? Okay, at this time, public comment will be closed and we'll move on to Board of Education Committee reports. Business Services Committee meeting, May 3rd. Mr. Bucher, do you have anything you would like to add or highlight in the Business Services Committee report?
Nope.
Mrs. Hauk?
Nope.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Bucher or Mrs. Hauk? Moving on to Curriculum Committee meeting, May 10th. Mr. Zickert, do you have anything you would like to add to or highlight in your committee report?
For the first time in a year, no.
I would agree. I do not have anything to add at this time either. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Zickert regarding the Curriculum Committee report? Okay, moving on to consent agenda items. Are there any items on the consent agenda any members of the board would like to take out for separate consideration? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve consent agenda items number 2 through 19 as presented?
Motion to approve consent items number 2 to 19. Okay.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Member Herrera made the motion and Member Zickert seconded the motion to approve consent agenda items 2 through 19 as presented. Any discussion?
I just wanted to mention on number 6, the Care Solos contract. To Dr. Johnson, I appreciate the additional information that you brought back, the input from the different schools, the experiences that students and families are having, both the couple that were a little blip of maybe challenge and then all the other. I appreciate that you went to the effort and brought all that back.
Anyone else have any discussion? At this time, I would like to recognize the following donations. 2010 Ford Focus from Krista Nottingham for Belvedere High School Automotive Department. 1 ukulele valued at $30 from the McClellan family for Washington Academy Music Class. 5 ukuleles valued at $150 from the Vermillion family for Washington Academy Music Class. 1 guitar valued at $800 from an anonymous donor for the Washington Academy Music Class. 2 guitars valued at $900 from the Felina family for the Washington Academy Music Class. Roll call, please.
Mr. Herrera.
Aye.
Mr. Zickert.
Aye.
Mr. Bucher.
Aye.
Mrs. Whitcomb. Aye. Ms. Maybell. Aye. Mrs. Hauk. Aye. Mrs. Reed Nemick.
Aye. Motion passes 7-0. Next, move on to our roll call items. And we'll be starting with number 3.
So that's number 2. Okay.
Number 3, memorandum of agreement between the Board of Education and the Belvedere Association of Support Staff. Do I have a motion regarding that?
I make a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement as presented between the school board and the Belvedere Association of Support Staff.
Second.
Member Whitcomb made the motion and Member Herrera seconded the motion to approve the memorandum of agreement between the Board of Education and the Belvedere Association of Support Staff as presented. Any discussion? This is similar to the agreements that have been done for NASA, I believe, correct?
For best.
Best.
For best. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Who made the second?
Member Herrera.
Sorry. Mrs. Whitcomb. Aye. Mr. Herrera.
Aye.
Ms. Maybell. Aye. Mrs. Hauk. Aye. Mr. Zickert.
Aye.
Mr. Bucher.
Aye.
Mrs. Reed Nemick.
Aye. Motion passes 7-0. We have a motion regarding the reduction in force for school health assistants.
Make a motion for reduction in force, resolution for students, school health assistants.
We have a second.
Second.
Member Zickert made motion and Member Bucher seconded the motion to approve the reduction in force for school health assistants as presented. Any discussion? Is it thought that this might be something that we would be bringing back again in the fall?
Yeah, it's definitely possible, just depending on what the numbers are like. Yes, it is a possibility.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Zickert.
Aye.
Mr. Bucher.
Aye.
Mr. Herrera.
Aye.
Mrs. Whitcomb. Aye. Mrs. Hauk. Aye. Ms. Maybell. Aye. Mrs. Reed Nemick.
Aye. Motion passes 7-0. Do I have a motion regarding Rock Valley College dual credit memorandum of understanding?
Motion to approve the Rock Valley College dual credit memorandum of understanding.
Second.
Member Zickert made the motion and Member Herrera seconded the motion to approve the Rock Valley College dual credit memorandum of understanding as presented. This was something I believe that was approved last month. There was some amendments that Rock Valley had asked for us to put in, which is why it's coming back this month. Those amendments are in relation to supporting students with disabilities. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Zickert.
Aye.
Mr. Herrera.
Aye.
Ms. Maybell. Aye. Mrs. Whitcomb.
Aye.
Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mrs. Hope. Mrs. Reed Nemick.
Aye. Motion passes 7-0. Do I have a motion regarding the Highland Community College dual credit memorandum of understanding?
Motion to approve the Highland Community College dual credit memorandum of understanding.
Second.
Member Zickert made the motion and Member Whitcomb seconded the motion to approve the Highland Community College dual credit memorandum of understanding as presented. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Zickert.
Aye.
Mrs. Whitcomb. Aye. Ms. Maybell. Aye. Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Herrera.
Aye.
Mrs. Hope. Aye. Mrs. Reed Nemick.
Aye. Motion passes 7-0. Number 7, paper bids was withdrawn by the administration. Number 8, do I have a motion regarding the 10-year operational planning job description, O&M?
Motion to approve 10-year operational planning job description, operations and management. Going.
Have a second?
Second.
Member Herrera made a motion and Member Booker seconded the motion to approve the 10-year operational planning job description O&M as presented. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'm on this one. I'm not, when I vote, it's not against the concept of it. I believe we need this. I believe this is something that moving forward is going to be a good thing for the district. My issue is the timing of it. I ran a year ago on the issue. I thought we were adding central office people more than maybe other places. This is going to be essentially another central office job. And I'm just against it because I didn't want to add more. I think this is necessary. It's not that. It's just that I think I can't vote for something to make it bigger that I ran on being smaller a year ago. So that's where I'm coming from on this.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Herrera.
Aye.
Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Ms. Maybell. Aye. Mrs. Hope.
Aye.
Mrs. Whitcomb. Aye. Mr. Zickert.
No.
Mrs. Reed Nemick.
Aye. Motion passes 6-1. Number 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Under roll call, we'll move to second open session following the second closed session this evening. Moving on to board discussion. Transfer of interest resolution. Mrs. Armstrong, you submitted this. Would you like to add anything?
Yes, just to bring this as an informational item, we'll be bringing the actual resolution next month. This is a procedure we have taken each year to transfer the interest earned from our debt service and working cash and putting it into our O&M funds to be able to use that interest into our capital projects planning. So the recommendation for approval, once we get past the June, that is the end of the fiscal year. So we will do the movement of the interest at that point.
Anyone have any discussion or questions for Mrs. Armstrong? Next, Kelly Services discussion. Mr. Booker, this is something I believe that you included last month, maybe on your business services notes.
Correct.
Okay. Could you discuss with the board?
Basically,
Do you
just
need our direction, or is it just an update?
just to know and get the board's thoughts that we continue to look at all options. Perhaps if down the road we do want to deviate from Kelly Services.
So does anyone have any questions, or does anyone have any ideas either way of it?
What's the average cost us for Kelly Services each year? And typically, I know it's not the same all the time because it's going to vary, especially during COVID years, but just a ballpark figure for what it costs us a year.
I don't think you've had it for a full year.
We've only had
Full
it,
year.
we had it for 6 months before COVID jumped in, but we haven't had it for a full year.
So just out of curiosity, does anybody know what it costs us that year for the half a year, 2/3 of a year? Because that would have been through the middle of March. That would have been
Yeah.
at least 2/3 of the year.
We can definitely look that up.
Okay, thank you.
I like the idea of having discussions surrounding it. If it continues to make sense to, outsource it, that's great. But if it makes both fiscal and relationships sense from developing relationships with, people we can utilize as subs to hopefully increase fill rates and things, I think it's certainly, worth looking at what a transition like that would look like, and what the fiscal impact would be to.
And I don't think we've had a lengthy conversation at the board level about it, have we?
Nope.
Yeah, so maybe one of you would like to give a little synopsis of what we talked about at Business Services.
Sure. So I was asked a couple months ago, we were talking about Kelly Services and kind of where we were at regarding fill rates and that type of thing. Obviously regionally, fill rates is atrocious all over the place. And we are in comparison with other districts in the region, but our low rate for the month was January. We were 46%. Since then, we have rebounded. Since February 1st, we're about 62%, which is still obviously not where we want to be, but we have rebounded, and I would expect now, because it's May, typically in the month of May, we tend to, our fill rates are a little bit lower too. There's more days off and that type of thing. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Pre-Kelly, the year before Kelly Services, we were about 82% fill rate. And then our first year through March 13th, we were about 86, a little over 86% fill rate. So we just had discussions about, the effectiveness. Do we like, want to give them another chance? Do we, want to look at other options? And so that's kind of where we're at right now in our discussions.
What were our fill rates when we were on our own?
It was 82% the last year before that, and I don't know the previous year before that. I can look that up, but we've always been in the low 80s.
So what drove the decision to outsource it initially? If we were filling at the same rate they were able to successfully fill, what was the driver?
I believe initially we were the only ones that had Kelly Services, so that was an advantage to
We were
have
the
them
inaugural
working for
district with
us.
them.
Now, many of the districts all use them, so we're really not an isolated district anymore.
The impetus was to increase the fill rate.
Yeah.
So 85% is not great, obviously.
There wasn't
It is what it is.
There was an advantage then. Now, I don't know.
Yeah, and we haven't had a full year with Kelly. Is that right? A full COVID year?
Kind of full.
COVID-free year. Yeah.
COVID-free year.
Yeah.
But we talked about bringing someone in-house and then, getting to know, having that relationship with the subs and, the buildings and making it more personal. And we would probably save money in the long run. And hopefully our fill rates would be higher then because they're getting that personal service rather than a generic Kelly Services call. That's a consensus of the committee. Right? Correct, yeah.
Do we have a break-even rate where we lose money by continuing the contract?
There is a line, there is a spot where we're break even, correct?
Is that something that you guys have talked about at the committee level? Okay.
Good. So the considerations in the committee would think through are cost of, just as an example, so everybody's on the same page, cost of bringing someone in versus there is an upcharge every time Kelly places someone. They charge us a placement fee. 32%. And then, so you'd have to take some of those considerations and compare them and then decide where your break-even point would be.
So that's something that at this point we're discussing having the committee begin to do all of that financial work and fully vet out the idea of what would be a reasonable timeline, what would be the cost to the district to bring it back in, where we would save money, what we anticipate focus. Okay, yeah, I'd be a proponent for that.
Mr. Herrera, you're good with that?
Oh, yeah, I've
Information with
been
that?
part of those discussions in the Business Services Committee, so.
Okay, Mr. Zicker?
Yeah, I think we need to look at, I think we need to look at the financial aspect of it. I mean, for the upcharge we're paying Kelly, we were never known as the highest paying sub-district before we went to Kelly. So at 80%, we were lower than a lot of other districts, or at Rockford, for instance, and Harlem. So now that we pay them the upcharge, it would be interesting to see what it's costing us for the difference in fill rate. Maybe it's a little, maybe it's not that, maybe it's a lot. I don't know the answer. But I'd be interested just to see what it is before we decide anything.
Yep.
Mrs. Hope, good with it?
Good.
All right, Mr. Booker, I'm assuming?
Good.
And I'm good with it. Like I said, break-even rate is probably one thing that I would look at, and then probably how long, what's the timeline that you guys might be looking at, but obviously you don't know that yet. Okay. Moving on, upcoming contracts, renewals and reports. Indicated here is a list of the annual reports and contracts that we may be seeing coming through in the future. Will these contracts, do they go through committee first, typically?
Typically, yes.
Okay. So committee chairs, keep your eyes open. All right, moving on to administration reports, superintendent comments.
I appreciate that. Let's see, Dr. Carson, first on my list to update the board on is registration. Could you give us just a quick overview of registration, how that went?
Sure, so we closed our registration on the 4th, and we finished with 87% of our returning students being registered for next year, so that was less than 1,000 students left and have registered for next year, so our team is excited to reach that point. I think generally the events went really well. We'll get a lot of positive feedback that their business and get out of there fairly quickly. We'll reopen registration this summer in July, and we'll have a few events here at the district office, and then after those events from the school, which is responsibility for.
Thanks, Dr. Carson. So the completion rate, we've never had a completion rate anywhere near this in May, so hats off to Dr. Carson and the team for putting together, kind of shifted our approach this year. It seems to have gone really well. Having only about 1,000 students to register yet is great progress. We do have a class of 2022 graduation coming up this weekend. When we were trying to finalize contracts for location, we weren't able to do that due to then existing COVID restrictions at Rock Valley College. So we are doing those outside. Again, this year we're doing them later in the day, so we don't have as many heat issues. I know we had to call a couple of ambulances last year because of the heat. So we've got Saturday night and Sunday night, and the links to those live streams are available on the link is available on the website now. It doesn't go to anything right now because graduation hasn't happened, but once those kick off, those will be live and ready to look at. I just want to acknowledge Dr. Shug here and appreciate her involvement over the last handful of weeks. And she's been great to work with as we go through the transition planning. She's met already with a lot of the administrators in the school district, has been to all the schools. There's a lot of excitement and buzz, I think, for her. So we're excited to have her here soon. We did have 8 students that received the bilingual seal of literacy this last month in 3 languages this year, Spanish, Portuguese, and Russian. So we're grateful for that. That's pretty cool. And hats off to the dual language department for helping coordinate that. And then want to give a shout out to all of our staff during the Appreciation Week, Teacher Appreciation Week the other week. We got cupcakes for staff on behalf of the Board of Education. I also just want to extend my personal invitation. If anybody that's here tonight wants to come into my office, I'm happy to talk with you about some of the concerns that you brought up. If you have a pen, my number, you can call me. I make an appointment. My number is 815-544-8603. That's 815-544-8603. You can call the office. Pam and I will find time for you to meet. I am, just so you know, very much a proponent of what we're doing right now for the students, but I'm happy to have you come in and we can talk through the rationale for the decisions that we're making for all of our students in terms of locker rooms, restrooms, gender identity. Happy to do that. So my schedule's pretty open here for the next couple of weeks, and school will get out soon, so happy to do that. I think we've also got under administration reports some updated procedures for termination of benefits that was discussed last month. And so that's what we're using internally to memorialize the procedures for those dates and when those end. We have an updated monthly ESSER 3 report. If anybody has any questions for us on any of the ESSER 3 data, if there's any questions on that.
I'd just like to say thank you for putting the information together. It's very nice to have it all in one place. So go back and refer to it. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate the time that it took to put that together. In regards to that, hopefully we'll see probably, or I'm assuming we'll see probably in June or July, the trimester report or the end reports for end of the year. So we'll be seeing some of those probably again in the next couple of months. And in regards to summer programming, Dr. Johnson, since that is your area, it says over 1,400 seats. So I believe that's a comparison possibly to last year. I think about the same as last year, is that correct?
Yeah, I'd have to we ended up shifting to more academic-based courses and we run a lower number of seats for those, just because the teacher and being able to help with intervention. But I will definitely be able to pull those to look at what our comparison looks like. But our fill rate looks really good. Most of our sessions are running, so. I really appreciate our staff, our summer school staff is excited and ready to go, so.
And the last day of registration for summer school
will be the last day of school, June 2nd.
June 2nd. Yep. Yeah. So anyone who has not signed up that is planning to, make sure you do it before June 2nd, right? Have any other questions for Dr. Weisman?
Then one other thing I'd note are some upcoming events. We got a lot going on here over the next couple months. Scholarship Night is this Thursday. Then after the seniors have graduated, the last day of school is June 2nd. We have committee meetings for next month. Make sure we're looking at the calendars for that. Dr. Shug does have a community meet and greet. We invite everybody to come to that. That's on June 16th at Belvedere North. It starts at 4 o'clock. And due to the holiday in June, the regular board meeting for this group has been changed from Monday night to Tuesday night. So our next time all together will be June 21st for the board. And I think that's all we got.
Okay, before we go back into closed executive session, I just wanted to mention, since we recognized our teachers tonight for their hard work, I'd just like to echo that as well. I know that the paraprofessionals were recognized because we happened to have a special meeting back in April on Paraprofessional Day. And I just want to say thank you to all of the teachers as well as the staff that got us through this year, our first year that everyone was fully back in school. And I just appreciate everything that everyone had on their plate and making the effort to do everything that was asked of them. And there were huge asks, and I really appreciate that. At this time, the Board of Education will be going back into closed executive session to continue our discussions from earlier. There will be action to follow. Do I have a motion to go into closed executive session regarding Section 2, heading C, exception, sub-number 1 of the Open Meetings Act to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees and their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees, litigation when action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, as well as setting the price for sale or lease of property owned by the public body.
Motion to enter, close the executive session.
Second.
Member Herrera made the motion and Member Zickert seconded the motion to go into the second executive session. Roll call, please.
Mr. Herrera.
Aye.
Mr. Zickert.
Aye.
Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mrs. Hauk.
Aye.
Mrs. Whitcomb. Aye. Ms. Mandel. Aye. Mrs. Reed Nemick.
Aye.
All right, we kick everybody out now. Thanks for coming.
We're here to start this.
Probably the best thing.
I like how the whole time it was funny, everything. You smiled at every single person that showed up here.
They're in a meeting. So if you want to find single point of contact. And you can help them, right? And they will.
Policy. Stop.
Sir. Yes, stop.
Why is this person keep?
Excuse me, sir.
That's professionalism? I don't have to be professional, you do.
No, you have to be professional. You don't fit it. So you're taking, you're reading the so on the board of this website. For 8603.
What do you think it's Just a question. Just the user and it's no. I know, it was over there.
Well, guys.
It was just past. Why was he wearing the snowmobile jacket?
I don't know. We'll see.
That was weird.
Dr. Reisman? Can we move it to the,
All right.
thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I might need to be escorted out tonight.
What is the question?
Well, yeah. Okay.
Well,
So,